Hello, I'm Hans Bezemer. I've been a programmer for 40 years, and I'm using Ford. The Ford is...
Come on, you know the drill by now. So let's dive straight in. It Follows is a 2014 horror movie where the final girl is the victim of a curse. She's relentlessly followed by a demonic entity, which will eventually catch up with her, unless she's able to transfer the curse to another person, by tapping into the more promiscuous tendency of her personality. Now, I didn't write the script of this movie, but if you're not comfortable with the subject matter, you might want to take a look at some of the other fine contributions YouTube has to offer. Anyways, there are 3 rules that define this movie. The entity will perpetually be walking towards your location at all times, no matter where you are. 2. If it catches you, it will kill you and pursue the previous person to have passed it on. 3. Now, the obvious question is, how is it passed on? Well, if you hook up with the currently affected person, it is passed on to you. And that got me thinking, is it even possible to shield yourself from impending doom by creating a large enough buffer of victims? Or will they be offed one after the other until the entity returns to its source to end the story once and for all? While designing this simulation, I found out I need a few additional rules, either in order to make it work or to add some realism. And here they are. 1. The first person knows the 3 rules. If not, he would probably die without ever knowing what hit him. 2nd. Prostitution is out of the question, because that is like cheating, and it would not only waste the simulation, but also eradicate the entire industry. 3. Women have twice as much chance on casual encounters than men. I think everyone who has any experience in that department will agree on that one. 4. You can get a partner in a slightly better league, but not overly. This actually has some scientific basis. The current victim gets a head start. Well, let's give the man a chance, okay? And where do we start when we try to make a simulation? Right, the data structures. All we need is a singly linked list. Our first node is the origin, so it doesn't point anywhere. It's a so-called null pointer. And I decide to make it female in order to give the first victim the best chance to survive. It's not much fun when your first node is deleted within the first 5 or so iterations. In order to evaluate whether you are attractive enough to succeed in your efforts, we score the victims on a scale from 1 to 10. And finally, we keep track how long our chain actually is. And then the clock starts ticking. Now let's suppose our final girl is successful and a new male mode is added to the chain. The pointer now points to the previous node, in case he doesn't make it and the entity has to fall back. But it's also possible he seduces yet another girl and another node is added. But if he doesn't and he's caught by the entity, we have to follow the pointer back to the origin. That's why a singly linked list will do. No need to point to the next person in the chain because he or she is already dead, departed, expired, passed away, kicking the daisies, given the pipe to Martin. So let's take a look at the source code. The memory for the linked list is allocated on the heap. That's probably not a surprise. We start off with not a 2-plane female. There are a few variables concerning the currently active node, like the number of days that have passed or the distance between victim and entity. Since only one node is active at the same time and those variables are reset once another node becomes active, we don't have to incorporate those in the structure. And yes, we also keep track of the body count. Now let's see what happens. Another day passed and the entity is coming closer. If there's no distance left between our victim and the entity, he has been caught. So we free our memory, update our pointers, reset the instance, and increment our body count. However, if the entity hasn't caught up yet, we have to see whether our victims get lucky today. So we retrieve the victim's properties and see if they exceed our bad luck threshold. If it doesn't, we're done. But if it does, we create a new victim, based on the properties of our current victim and activated node. There are two conditions that terminate this loop. Either a full year has gone by, or the original victim has been caught and there are no more nodes left. Of course, I've run this program many times, and sometimes it doesn't take off. No node is ever added, so the program terminates after a couple of iterations. Most of the time it completes a full year. And funny enough, about 35 victims have been made in that time span. Why? I can't tell you. The secret is probably hidden somewhere in the underlying probabilities, but I'm not that much of a mathematician to figure out why. But it rarely happens that the chain is created within that year and subsequently destroyed. So I think it's safe to conclude that the events of It Follows are quite possible, or even likely within that universe. If you've seen that movie and liked it, there have been talks about a sequel. However, nothing serious has emerged yet. Several shorts were made pretending to be sequels, but in my humble opinion, they're not the real deal. Anyway, I'm Hans Bezemer, and this was another episode of Back and Forth. And I promise we're done with simulations. Next time, we're doing something different.